Hello and welcome back to Whispers of Wisdom. I'm Carrie Bandel and I'm really happy you're here with me. There's something magical about November, isn't there? The way the light shifts, the way nature seems to exhale and settle into this space of reflection. It's like the universe is whispering to us. Look back, honor where you've been, gather the wisdom from your journey. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're talking about storytelling, but not the kind you might think. We're talking about your story, your journey, and how the way you tell it can become medicine for your soul. We all know at least one person who loves to overshare with strangers. The tales of sickness or defeat, all their ailments displayed out in front of them like a china cabinet, only the china is broken. I know a woman who works in a public space. She tells stories that would make you cringe, occasionally even lose your appetite. She is constantly ill or in the hospital and loves to rally for attention. She mentioned 2 days ago that she needs new lungs, complaining about how long the wait list was while she was smoking her cigarette. A few weeks back, it was about losing their house and the four of them having to move in with her father in law. All the while booking one cruise after another, taking unpaid vacation time off. And the constant gambling didn't really help either. But this podcast isn't about the severely negative people who can't see the forest for the trees. This podcast is not for the self absorbed that lack self awareness. Everyone is on their own journey. She is telling her story the way she needs to. Let's put all that drama aside, though. I'm going to clean all of that up. Let's dig into what your experiences, your journey, and your life story can look like. That's where the meat is. That's the good stuff. So let's start with indigenous cultures. And I'm talking about cultures all around the world. They understood something profound about storytelling that we've somehow forgotten in our modern rush to fix, achieve, and move on. For them, stories weren't just entertainment around a campfire. Stories were medicine. They were education. They were the threads that wove communities together across generations. While most Americans rely on factual interpretation of history and deeds written down, Indigenous peoples rely on the importance of experience and the orality of that experience being passed on. Oral tradition shows what the community finds essential. These stories have purposes and lessons in them, and are ways to teach the natural laws of the universe. Fixico, the Native American writer and intellectual, writes that there are 5 parts to a story: time, place, characters, events, and purpose. And together they form the experience. Think about that for a moment. These cultures understood that how we tell our experiences, how we frame them, what meaning we give to them, literally shapes not just our understanding of the past, but our capacity to create the future. I remember sitting with an elder and his family once who told me every story has 2 parts: what happened and what it means. You can't change what happened, but you always get to choose what it means. That's where the power lives. So here's what I want you to consider as we move through today's conversation. You've been living a story this year. Maybe it's been a love story. Maybe it's been an adventure story. Maybe it's been what feels like a horror story at times. But you know what? All of those are valid. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets really interesting. The facts of your life and the truth of your story are two completely different things. I'm saying that again. The facts of your life and the truth of your story are different things. The facts are what happened. You lost your job, the relationship ended, you faced that health scare. Your plans fell apart. Those are facts. They're real, they're valid, they happened. But the truth is the meaning you give to those facts. The truth is a story you tell about what those experiences made possible. The truth is how you choose to frame your journey. And here's what the ancestors knew that we're just remembering. You get to choose your truth. You get to choose how to tell your story. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but wait, doesn't this sound like spiritual bypassing? Like I'm supposed to pretend everything was beautiful and perfect? No, that's not what we're talking about here at all. What we're talking about is the difference between dwelling and honoring. There's a huge difference between staying stuck in old wounds and honoring the journey that brought you to wisdom. Indigenous storytelling traditions include some of the most honest, raw, real stories you'll ever hear. They don't sugarcoat the difficulties, they don't pretend the winters weren't harsh or that the battles weren't real. But they also don't end the story with the winter. They tell the whole story, including how the winter made the spring possible. They tell about the warrior who was wounded and how that wound became the source of their medicine. That's what we're talking about, telling the whole story, honoring the full journey. So, how do we do this? How do we become conscious storytellers in our own lives? First, we have to get honest about the stories we've been telling ourselves. And I mean, really honest. Take this year. What's the story you've been telling about your experiences? Are you telling a story of how everything went wrong, or are you telling a story of how you navigated challenges and kept going? Are you telling a story of how what you lost? Or are you telling a story of what you discovered about your own strength? Are you telling a story of how you were broken? Or are you telling a story of how you were broken open? Same facts, different truth, different energy, different future that becomes possible. I had a client recently who said to me, I keep telling people that this year was the worst year of my life. And then she paused and said, but you know what? It was also the year I finally found my voice. It was the year I learned I was stronger than I thought. It was the year I stopped letting other people's opinions run my life. She had been telling this story of her worst year, but the truth was, it might also have been one of her most transformative years. See the difference? Same year, same experiences, but when she started telling the story of her transformation instead of just the story of her trials, everything shifted. Her energy shifted, her confidence shifted, her vision for the future shifted. And that's the power of conscious storytelling. Now, here's another piece of this that I think is crucial. Your story isn't just medicine for you, it's medicine for others too. Indigenous cultures understood this. They knew that when someone shared their story of overcoming, of surviving, of finding wisdom in difficulty, it gave others permission to do the same. Your story of how you made it through that dark night gives someone else hope that they can make it through theirs. Your story of how you rebuilt after everything fell apart shows someone else that rebuilding is possible. Your story of how you found your voice after years of silence whispers to someone else that they can find theirs too. But here's the key, and this is where a lot of people get stuck. Your story has to be truly yours, not the story you think people want to hear, not the story that makes you look perfect or puts you in the victim role. Your real story, the one with mess and magic, with falling down and getting back up, with being human and becoming more human. So, as we move into this season of reflection and gratitude, I want to invite you to try something. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? And so, that's a valid question to ask sometimes. But try also asking, what story wants to be told through this experience? Notice how the energy shifts when you ask that question. You move from victim to storyteller, from powerless to purposeful, from stuck in the past to creating the future. What story from this year is ready to be honored? What chapter needs your loving attention before you close this year's book? Maybe it's the story of how you learn to set boundaries. Maybe it's the story of how you survived loss and discovered you're more resilient than you knew. Maybe it's the story of how you took a leap of faith and landed somewhere beautiful, even if it wasn't where you planned. Your story matters. Your journey has medicine in it. For you and for others who need to hear that transformation is possible, that growth is real, that the human spirit is absolutely unstoppable. Don't keep your medicine to yourself. The world needs your story. Not perfect, not polished, just true. Next week, we're exploring gratitude as gateway, opening to abundance. We're talking about gratitude not as a practice of pretending everything is fine, but as a portal to possibilities you haven't even imagined yet. To find out more about me or sign up for the corresponding weekly email, you can go to sacredwhispers1111.com. Until next time, remember, you are not a victim of your story. You are the author. Write it with intention, tell it with love, share it with courage. I'm so grateful you're here, and I'm so grateful for your journey. And I can't wait to witness what story you choose to tell next. Keep listening for those whispers of wisdom. I'm Carrie, and I'll see you next week.